It's your man Diamond K in here, of course, radioonfire.com, the diamondkshow.com, and this is one of those days. I'm in one of those moods for various reasons. There are a lot of things that have gotten under my skin today. And we are going to get into all of that. Radio on Fire talks to America through digital news broadcast and social media content. We are a rising multimedia platform generating over 350,000 listeners and viewers per month through our audio and video streams. From politics, breaking news, celebrity info, sports talk, pop culture, and more, Radio on Fire keeps our audience covered. So, the question today is today's topic of the show, at least the first part of the show. Does state government care about our kids? Do they care about the children? Why do I ask this? Of course, various governors across the country have done this. So this is not something exclusive to Maryland. But the governor of Maryland, who is named Larry Hogan, he says that all Maryland schools can begin to safely reopen for in-person learning, right? And like I said, he's not the only governor to do that. He is a Republican, but Democrat governors have done the same thing. And as it relates to Larry Hogan, he says that Maryland has improved in their coronavirus metrics. He said that because of that, said this today, that schools can reopen safely. He said that, right? Here's a quote from Larry Hogan, governor of Maryland. He said that I am announcing that as a result of our improved health metrics, every single county school system in the state of Maryland is now fully authorized to begin safely reopening. These are the words of Maryland's Governor Larry Hogan. He continues, there is broad and overwhelming agreement that finding a way to begin safely returning children to classrooms must be a priority. There is no substitute for in-person instruction. I hear you, right? And I understand that, and I've seen parents go out and talk about, my kid can't learn from home. My kid's going to get left behind, right? And they say that. Yet the kid's always online, always on social media, learning all this stuff, right? Kid can do stuff online and you can't even do as a parent. But the kid going to get left behind because they're learning online. First of all, that's crap. But whatever. Let's go forward with that, okay? If the state is not safe, can't reopen movie theaters like that. Some places can reopen movie theaters. Maryland can't reopen movie theaters right now, right? If you can't reopen some of these key businesses fully, how are you ready to open schools safely? How? How's that possible? The kids should be the last thing, like the last thing that we open up, schools. Why? Because of safety. Because of safety issues. So when I ask, do state governments really care about our kids? Is their big focus strictly the economy only? Because they say stuff like they don't want our kids to be left behind, right? Well, the schools are in shambles. Schools are in shambles normally. So you think that they're going to learn more there, right? Schools in Maryland have been closed since March. Local school districts had a deadline of August the 14th to submit a reopening plan to the state for the 2021 academic year. The state is not ready to be fully opened itself, right? How are they going to submit plans that are plans that they can actually follow when we haven't even hit flu season? We don't even know what flu season is going to do. And I know that the MAGA listeners and the Trump supporters are going to say that Trump said it was going to magically go away, right? News flash, it hasn't magically gone away, okay? That's just another one of the lies that you have been sold, right? So it's not magically going away. And however, these governors feel that they can incentivize or pressure school systems to reopen because what? Okay. Here's my issue, and I have been supportive of some of the things that Hogan has done. This right here, I do not support, and let me tell you why. Hogan refuses to take responsibility, right? When it comes to a situation, I didn't know. It was a problem with somebody, severance package, somebody in my cabinet. I don't know. You don't know nothing. When it's something that you need to know, you don't know, right? Or you act like you don't know. And we had things going well in Maryland. Things were going well. And he gets on the TV, he has his press conference, and he says that, our state's doing better than all other states. Our spread's low, our infection rate's low. And then people go out and start going out because they feel like, okay, he said that we're good. So they start going out, they start having parties, they start going places, right? And then what happens? Then infection rates start to go up, right? Then he turns around and blames the people that he told that the rates were fine for the rates to increase again, right? So he shuts everything down again, or not shuts everything down, but he kind of shuts some things down, right? Kind of bumps people back a little bit in the opening of things, right? Now he's telling them again, everything is fine. The rates are as low as they've ever been since March, right? And then people are going to go back up. You're going to open the schools up or pressure schools to open or make people think that it's okay to open schools in Maryland. And then when the rates go back up, who you're going to blame them again, right? Right? This is your fault, right? It's not time yet. It's not time yet. And the school systems can't really submit they can maybe submit a preliminary plan, but we need to see what this flu season going to look like first, right? It doesn't make sense to keep over and over again going out and then pulling back, going out and then pulling back, right? We need to stay in a holding pattern at least for one semester, right? But when he's challenged directly, talking about the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, when he's challenged directly, what do you mean? So you're saying school should open? Oh, I'm not saying they should open. I'm saying they should think about opening, present a plan. Because he doesn't really want to come down and be held accountable for that, right? He doesn't really want to make the mandate. He can't make a mandate, but he can get on TV and he can get on the press conference and get online and he can say or try to pressure systems, citing the declining positivity rates, right? Declining. They're not zero, right? So let's not stick our chests out too much, right? Let's not stick our chests out too much. So far, 16 county school systems have developed a plan and submitted it to the state that formed some in-person instruction this fall. This fall is flu season, and flu season is going to extend to the winter time. We need to see what that looks like first. Let's see what the first semester looks like before you start pressuring school systems. That leads me to believe that you don't care about kids. Your focus is getting the economy back up, which is fine. We want that to happen, right? But at the same time, when he says that all kids deserve to go to school, in-person learning, which they do, but not at the expense of their safety, right? I gave an analogy earlier. If you're late for work and you say, I gotta get to work, right? So you're speeding to work, you're running red lights, you're doing all these things because you got to get to work. That doesn't make sense. If you crash and die on the road, rushing, speeding through the city streets and running red lights because you got to get to work and die on your way to work, how smart is that? You're already late, right? You're already late. So at least drive safely. I think the job would rather you be 15 minutes late than dead on the way to try to get there early or on time, right? And trying to rush these kids to school on the pretense that all kids gotta have in-person learning or it's just gonna be a disaster, right? But you're pushing them back to school before they're ready, before the schools are ready, before we even know what the fall is going to look like, what flu season is going to look like, what the combination of the coronavirus and the flu and the natural cold, what all that's going to look like. We don't know yet. But of course, Mike Pence and President Trump say a miracle is around the corner. Whatever. Do not be swayed by politicians on the left or the right that want to force you to do something or pressure you into doing something that's not right. If everything is not open up in your city or your state, but they're trying to rush these kids to in-person learning in school, you need to question where their priorities really lie. So, another quote here from Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland. He said that in order for us to keep moving forward and to keep making progress, it is absolutely critical that we begin the process of getting our children safely and gradually back into the classrooms. Right? We cannot get them safely and gradually back in the classrooms if it is not safe. Right? You have plenty of businesses who are still not, state government is not operating in a fully functional mode. But the kids, they good, right? And if you want to say that kids, because I see some people saying that the kids, they can't spread it that much, or there's danger for kids because the kids can bring it back to the parents, right? If you rushing to send your kid to school, but your kid brings you back something that kills you, right? In the process of getting to school, do you understand the priorities here? You can't cut off your nose to spite your face. I mean, this should be obvious stuff here. And the school superintendent, she comes on, she says her piece, and of course, she's going to parrot everything that the governor is saying. She strongly encourages local school systems to reevaluate their mode of instruction at the end of the first quarter, right? You need to see what it looks like at the time. At the time. So in the first quarter is probably like November sometime, right? Going for the Thanksgiving break. I think that's a good time to evaluate where we are. But it depends on what things look like. It depends on what the scene looks like. And I say that the state is making $10 million in grant funding available to help systems that are available to move toward in-person instruction, right? They throw these numbers out there, 10 million for this, 5 million for that, 20 million for this, right? What does that mean exactly? The schools are in shambles. That means that somebody's just going to steal the money and it not be accounted for. What does that actually mean? What does that mean? Who's going to hold these people accountable? And people say voting doesn't matter. It matters a lot. It matters a lot. Just tuning in, your man Diamond K in here, the Diamond K Show. Yes, I'm fired up. Yes, I am. Okay. 7 p.m. weekdays, I am here at the Diamond K Show at Radio on Fire on all social media. So the governor and the superintendent plan to visit school sites across the state in coming weeks to observe systems that are bringing small groups of students back into a safe. They want to say safe. How do you know it's safe? You've been seeing other systems and other kids in other states coming back to school and having massive infection rates. What do you mean safe? Define safe. Maybe safe to some people means something different than safe to other people. Safe, right? You just throw the word safe around like you know, what does it mean exactly? Like everybody has a different definition of the word safe. Anyway, proceeding. There's a story that has been happening, and unraveling in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We've talked about it since it initially happened, or it happened on Sunday. Jacob Blake, and he was shot 7 times. They have not said what they're charging him with, but it has been reported by the father of Jacob Blake that his paralyzed son is handcuffed to his bed, despite the fact that he can't stand or go anywhere, right? I guess they think some people are going to pick him up and take him out, right? Or take him out of the hospital. He has not been charged with the crime as of yet. Not sure. Family's not sure why he has been handcuffed. And handcuffed he has been. The Chicago Sun-Times explained that the Kenosha Police Department, the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office, and the Wisconsin Department of Justice all did not respond to questions or give any info on any charges against Jacob Blake. Very strange, right? His father, the father of Jacob Blake, he said that I hate it that he's laying in that bed handcuffed to the bed. He can't go anywhere. Why do you have him cuffed to the bed? And so that is a question. That is a question as to why this is happening. We don't know, and I'm assuming that they're going to reveal something at some point in time. But authorities have given their first versions, their first kind of rundown of what they say happened in this case. Ironically, it is 3 days after it occurred, 3 or 4 days after it happened, right? You had to concoct something, right? You had to come up with something, because if this is the truth as to what happened, why did it take so long for them to start to put stuff out? We know that Jacob Blake's 29-year-old African-American who could have possibly had a knife, which doesn't matter. Whatever the reason was, he is paralyzed now. And he was hit by 4 of 7 shots fired at his back. The officer, Rustin Shesky, has now been identified by the Kenosha, police department and that whole movement over there. Okay, so he has been identified. 7 years on the job, and it's continuing to go and take shape. And the story that it appears to me that they're trying to tell is that he was going for the knife, and the police thought that he was a danger. They tried to tase him, and they had to shoot him to take him down because all of the officers felt like they were in danger with their guns, and he had a knife. And that's usually the story that they tell. However, here's what's ironic about this. In the same vein, they're going to say that the 17-year-old with an automatic weapon that just killed 2 people, got blood on his hands, and injured another person, walks past them. He's no threat. The black guy walking in the opposite direction of them, he's the threat with no weapon. He's the threat, because you could say that he was going for the knife, right? But he didn't have a knife in his hand, right? The murderer He had a gun in his hand, a loaded weapon, and had just killed 2 people. But you're not in fear of that. You're in fear of you're not in fear of the gun-toting murderer walking towards you. You're scared of the unarmed black person walking away from you. Make that make sense, because it doesn't. Other than pure racism. Other than that, how else can you quantify that? Just like now, how can you quantify that? This man's paralyzed from the waist down. While the 17-year-old murderer who murdered people who were protesting the near assassination of Jacob Blake, he actually murdered somebody. So the family attorney of Jacob Blake is working to ensure that he can go home once he's released from the hospital. Who knows when that will be? Who knows when that will be? His son's eyes are swollen. Talking about Jacob Blake, his father, he said that his son's eyes are swollen. He looked and sounded like his son, and he's alive. Seeing him in the hospital was like walking across a desert to find someone waiting with a glass of water, his father said. It was way more than fulfilling. It was a feeling I can't describe. And of course, many victims of this police misconduct are dead. And it just so happens that Jacob Blake is alive. And that is, it's just one of those things, considering how many shots were discharged, the proximity that they were discharged. It is I'm just surprised that that the guy's alive. Just surprised. You're tuned in to Don McKay's show, Radio on Fire. Of course, we are talking about a lot of things. Now, some people, as it relates to sports and athletes, some people tell them, shut up and dribble, right? How dare you speak about, anything related to social issues, right? Some people say that about our athletes. Not me. I don't say that, but some people say that. So Thursday's games have been postponed, just like Wednesday's games were postponed, and the league is hoping to resume play either Friday or Saturday. And that's in the NBA. NHL postponed Thursday and Friday. And these are playoff games, right? These aren't just some bum games. These are playoff games. And they have been postponed. Why did they postpone? Because of these very important social issues. 4 years after Kaepernick forced out of the league for trying to bring light to this very issue. This very issue. Baseball teams opt not to play. Number of baseball games were postponed Thursday, including the Nationals' home game against the Phillies and other games. So some NFL teams announced no practices today. And asked if Packers will practice tomorrow. Green Bay Packers say that they will formulate a plan this afternoon. And we'll see what the future holds. So the Bears did not practice this morning in what they're calling a schedule change. And at least as of now, they have not practiced. So not just athletes, we are human beings. Natasha Cloud said of the WNBA. So all scheduled NBA Wednesday games were not played. Thursday games not played. So, of course, a lot of people on the right upset. They don't like people speaking up about social justice issues. Oh, no. How dare they? Who do they think they are? Who do they think they are? That's what people on the right will say. Who do they think they are? And they are humans, is what many of the athletes are saying. LeBron James has a lot to say, as a lot of people do. Why do they have this to say? What is the issue here, right? You know, some people gonna say they're making all this money. How dare they don't need to speak about this? If I want to hear my athletes talking about this kind of stuff, you know, I mean, just whatever. It is too widespread. It is happening too often for people to sit and ignore. At this point, how can you ignore what's staring you right in your face? How can you ignore it? Now, we saw athletes over the years. Some have engaged in, you know, social commentary. I mean, because a lot of these athletes very well could be George Floyd or Jacob Blake. They can get stopped by the police just as well. It happens, right? It happens. And so them not speaking on these issues does not change the fact that this could be them or their children. So it affects everybody. We can get this all worked out. If we can get everything operating on one accord, things would be a lot better. Things would be a lot better. But the powers that be seem to want us to have discourse that is negative. They seem to want us to be on opposite sides. They seem to want that. I don't know why. They think that that's the best way to control us. I don't know. But it needs to stop. And a lot of athletes think, and I agree, that not having games forces people to focus on the issues without the distractions. Sports can be a distraction. Entertainment can be a distraction. But if you're forced to not only face these social issues, but address them and do something about them, then we're going to have some change. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Of course, I will be back later on tonight with the final night of the RNC coverage, recapping that. Trump's going to speak. Who knows what he's going to say? He's going to be, he's the best president since, ever. And, he's beaten coronavirus, and coronavirus is Obama's fault. The normal thing. He cheated on his wives because of Obama. The normal thing. Blame Obama for everything. And he's owning the libs. Right? Of course, like I said, I'll be back. And I've had some very interesting discussions online with people who, politically on another side than I am. And I enjoy hearing other people's perspectives, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy the conversation with people that have opposing views from mine. But as I said, I'll be back at that time as soon as that's over. So I guess we'll be back 11 o'clock Eastern. RadioonFire.com/live. You can advertise with us, connect your message to our engaged audience of over 350,000 listeners and viewers per month. RadioonFire.com/advertise. is where you go to get started. Follow The Diamond K Show on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, however you're hearing or seeing us. Hit the subscribe button. New shows drop daily. RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. You can always support the program via Cash App, $DJ Diamond K. And of course, your donations help us continue to do what we do here on the program, and that's to bring you independent, progressive opinions on politics, social issues, and entertainment. For booking info or media requests, djdiamondk@gmail.com. Until next time, if you see it, then you can be it. It's all about having vision. It's your man Diamond K. I will see you guys later. Salute. Until next time.